welcoming all of you back on this beautiful, and it's going to be a nice day, weather-wise. It's beautiful Tuesday morning in mid-Michigan on the third day of November. Ah, that day, the third day. It is indeed Election Day 2020, and what a rocky road to Dublin we've had on this one. Getting here, it is just, it's hard to believe we've reached this point, but we have, and it doesn't mean it's over, of course. The election will be decided at some point. It may not be tonight, but we've gone through a lot to get to actually going to the polls, which are open in Michigan as we speak. Few little spots in the Upper Peninsula that we'll wait on, but throughout 98% of the state, they are open right now. And then we wait on the results. Some wait more patiently than others. For some, this is going to be a very, very stressful grind. And for others, it's no big deal. They just go about their life and no problem. But in our society, maybe especially since the year 2000, when we had a very protracted presidential election, it's gotten bouncier. And there is something now called a legitimate condition, election stress disorder. What does that entail? How do we avoid it? And if we have it, how do we minimize and mitigate? Let's welcome in our good friend, Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing. drjohnb.com is the place for all the podcasts. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Election Day 2020.
Well, good morning to you, Dave. And this is really an exciting day. It's really a celebration day. But when you have two-thirds of the country, as the American Psychological Association says, having stress as we approach this election day, that indicates there clearly is a lot of anxiety. And when you even come up with a condition called election stress disorder, you know, we had this Trump derangement syndrome that was floating around. Now we have election stress disorder. So it's definitely a difficult time for a lot of people. And I feel the main thing is, I think citizens, all of us, we need to accept and be respectful of election results. We need to recognize in a bifurcated society with different views of how the country is best going to be managed, that we have to learn to, whoever wins today, I really have no idea, that we need to be able to work together. We have to remember, first, we're capital A Americans, and second, a small political party, Democrat or Republican. We have to get back to being more of a nation, and we just cannot balkanize ourselves and destroy ourselves with hatred of our fellow citizens, people, families breaking up, people disagreeing. That's really not the way our republic can really survive. It brings back the worry that Ronald Reagan came forward, that you can lose a democracy, a republic like we have in one generation. We really don't want to do that. We really want to pull together. There are grievances, or ancient grievances, or current grievances, but that's when people of goodwill have to be able to sit down and talk things out. We haven't been able to do that lately, and it's led to a lot of chaos and a lot of destruction, and there is a need not to censor each other when we disagree, because I think right now when people disagree, they don't talk to each other, or they call each other names. It's really kind of bad, and I find that one set of name callers doesn't realize they're doing name calling when they're accusing the other one of name calling. So it's time to take a time out, listen, to what happens, accept the results, and try then to say we're a team, and rather than disliking who wins, we have to work with them, we have to work together, we need to then prepare for another election. That's really the way things work. If we're unhappy, we feel things aren't being presented, we then move forward to the next one. But I think a lot of people are having trouble with that, and I kind of like the quote of Martin Luther King when he said that that there was a promissory note, is what our Declaration of Independence is, and that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. I think that's a good goal. We're an imperfect world. We can sit back and look at the flaws in the country, but there's also no country like America that millions of people keep coming and want to come. So let's try to keep positive views on this day and realize many parts of the country you really can't have elections. You have the oligarchy with the the one powerful person running or a powerful group. And here we still can make a difference. At the local level, the state level, the national level. Let's celebrate that, and let's see this as a day of celebration, regardless of the results, and try to do that. That's, I think, a very, very important thing.
You know, the way you just expressed that was terrific. But at the end, I'm still saying to myself, part of our problem, and again, with the stressors that we have right now, is that there are going to be a certain number of people who will hear that and say, so he's saying no matter what happens, let's go along, no matter what. If my side loses, it'll be all right. We'll work to make it better, and we'll win. Maybe we'll prevail next time, and we can't have that because that's the word. Those are the words of the enemy. It becomes the enemy right now, Doc, and that was never the way. It just wasn't. Even in rough elections, you would dust off and say, okay, we'll go after it next time. Now it's a case of, if it doesn't work out my way, your heart is hardened even more. When did that become a regular feature of our daily lives?
It has been going on for a period of time. I don't want to pick a particular time, because what you're going to find is in this debate of two, groups that can't compromise with each other recently, it's been going on for quite a while. I don't know exactly when it started, but it's been a while now. And unfortunately, I do think often leaders take these positions that separate each other too. You don't have a lot of adults really standing up and saying, hey, let's quit this, let's work together, let's try to do the right thing. No, you seem to have, it's almost like a bad marriage where each gets in a corner and has a bag of explosives, which are their grievances and anger, and they throw at each other. So we really don't want to do that. We want to be focusing on the wonders of the country. Like, I still remember when my Cuban-born wife and her parents, when we had a party after they became U.S. citizens, there were so many tears, so much emotion, so much of that type of a thing. And your family, my family, we've all had these things. So we need we need to be celebrating on the sameness, on the things we have in common.
Doc, they did not take voting for granted. I mean, the vote mattered to them. Now we hear these, I even hear commercial spots that say, it's your right to vote, you need to take it seriously. Ask an immigrant how seriously they take the right to vote and who has seen some things in their native country. It's astonishingly all-American. There's nothing more all-American than that. There really is. I'm sure you saw it with your wife.
Well, yes, and see, I'm excited about this. Now, one thing I will say, there probably is going to be far more voting in this election than there has been. I think there's also been, in a good way, a lot of push in terms of people getting out to vote and the importance of doing it. And I think that's been good. I think that's positive. And my view is, as I wrote, may citizens please accept and be respectful of election results. I think that's an important thing. And I think after an election, if you've lost, you have to figure out what happened, okay? You then have to sort out what can you agree with the new group that's coming into power, and then you have to try to prepare working with them and also then preparing for the next election. That's what a democracy is. It's very imperfect, but as Winston Churchill said, comparing it to all the others, it is the best one that we have. And we also have to remember, as Ronald Reagan said, the difference between left and right in the United States is very small compared to the extreme ends on left and right when it comes to dictatorship. So I think it's important that we keep the dictatorial, the Hitler, the Tojo, the Mao, the Stalin, all these type statements away when we're comparing political parties. Because we're talking about people that killed millions and millions of people. We're not dealing with anybody in the U.S. political system, anything like that. So I think we have to be civil and we have to be willing to work as a team. And that's hard because there's a lot of hard feelings right now, which I think has been fanned by a lot of people. And I do feel that this will not be a period where political leaders are going to be praised for how they ratcheted down anger. I think a lot of people have used this to move themselves up. And if anybody is there sitting nodding their head thinking of one or two people, they have to realize it's way, way more than that. There's been a lot of it. You just have to be honest. So let's just not have too much high anxiety. Let's look upon this as a great experiment, ongoing, which is unique in the world history, and that it's exciting. And it's a wonderful time, and it's a time when we kind of like an ancient tradition, if you will, that we now have a vote, we have a change in power, or we have the group stay in power, and then we wait till the next election. It's a wonderful time, not a time to be out destroying things, not a time to be hating people, not a time to not being close with family and friends. We want to make it more into a celebration of America, and kind of go from there. We've kind of lost a lot of that, and I feel bad about that, Dave, because anybody who knows the Balkanization, part of the world, the Balkans, when you have people fighting and hating each other, and I think we have some of that now. We have to stop that. We need to be one group, pluribus unum. We're one people united together. Very
from
important.
from the many comes one.
Yeah, that's right.
Is what that means in the Latin. I hope you are right, and I hope that for all of our listeners and their family, their friends, people they're close to, that election stress disorder is minimized. This year, no matter what the outcome is, at the national, the state, the local, the hyper-local level. Everybody take a cleansing breath, and this republic shall push on and prevail. Dr. John Braccio with Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing, I wish you a happy and healthy rest of Election Day, and as we start the process, let's not do it too soon all over again for the next election to come.
Well,
Take care, Doc.
Can I quickly mention two things, Dave? One, go green, great win for the young guys and the new coach.
Ooh.
And second of all, I think in politics and life, a Shakespeare quote just came to my mind. To have the power of a giant is good. To use it as a giant is called tyranny. So let's all make sure we all work as a team, coming up with decisions and working together. That's just my last thought of the day, and which I think is going to be a good day.
Be well and stay safe.
Very good. Bye-bye.
All right, we're back here shortly. Morning Wake Up. Don't go away. Now, some good advice there overall. As always, 1320 WILS.